Hello again, mid-1970 here. Now, bit of bad news. Larry failed his MOT. He's getting really old now. And the outriggers need replacing. So, I was going to just get on with it and do it. But I had a look online and I couldn't find any videos on how to do this. So, I'm going to show you how to replace the outriggers on a 110 Defender. And today we're going to look at this. T-brake. So, as you can see, if I can get in, my outrigger on both sides are in very similar condition, basically shot. Now I have had a play around and it's looking a lot worse now than it was, but let's get it sorted. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off back to the chassis. Now I have measured from this point because I've taken my rock sliders off. I'm going to repair my rock sliders as well and paint them. But I have measured from there all the way back to here and to here because my rock slider fits over this and then bolts on here. I'll have to drill some holes in the new one and repaint it. But we will see how we get on. Right, now to clean the rest of it up. Oh, come on. I've prepped this. I've still got to cut a piece off here, but I've taken the flange off and I've cleaned the chassis up, as you can see. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of metal across here with some nuts and bolts through it to reinforce this onto there, because his bottom edge doesn't really matter. Okay, there's steel plate there behind that. This one's not too bad anyway, but I shall paint this with a brush over and paint this with some red lead before I put these new galvanised brackets on, and I'll bolt them onto here to hold this in place, and I'll show you that in a second when it's all done. So I've had a change of plan. I was sat here and I was bolting these brackets on, and then I'm thinking to myself, well, these are held on by 6mm bolts. This is welded to the chassis. This is 2mm at the best of times. And then it just suddenly struck me, why aren't these bolted to the chassis? So I'm going to try something. At my own expense, I'm buying another one of these, being as I've cut this. I'm not going to lose anything by doing what I'm going to do. And I know I'm going to scare a lot of people in the Land Rover community. I'm going to put riv nuts in the chassis, and I'm going to bolt them on. And then that way, if they rust again in the future, I can unbolt them, instead of having to go through all this process of cutting off, grinding back the weld and re-welding them on, because I don't think it's necessary. So let's see how we get on. So this is what I'm proposing. 6 holes drilled on this plate and 2 on this. These will be M8s and these on the top will be M6s. Now I've spaced them like this. The top and bottom hole, the top and bottom hole are 25mm in, and then that splits the difference. So it's 67.5, 67.5, and 45mm in from the side, and then it's the same here. 25mm in from the top, 67.5 between, and 25mm in from the bottom. Now the top part, what I'm going to do here is, this is 15mm in from the side, 15mm in from the side, and 12.5mm from the outside. The reason I've drilled all these holes small is I'm going to use this as a pattern, and I'm going to use the brackets on here to bolt onto here, and then set this up off the bodywork, hold it all in place, and then I'm going to drill through all of these hole positions and then open them up and put my riv nuts in, and then afterwards I will drill these through so that they are just bigger than the riv nut heads, so that they can clamp up tight to the chassis. Right, let's mark out the second one. So we are 45mm in here. $45mm in there. I think so. that's all of the holes drilled. And here we have the new outrigger bolted on up there, and these are still slightly loose because I've got to set the dimension from here to the bulkhead there so I can get my rock sliders back on. But then after that I will use the small holes that I drilled as guides and drill through them. And I've ordered a 90-degree drill to do the top, and then I can drill the chassis and I can put my riv nuts in and then drill these holes out bigger so that they fit around the riv nuts. And then I'm going to make a plate that fits up there with 3 holes in, that bolts over and clamps it to the chassis. And then that'll be it. I mean, even now, this is bloody solid, you know, and it's not even welded on. Now, I don't know if the eagle-eyed amongst you noticed that in the last section when I was underneath the Land Rover, the bracket seemed a little bit twisted. I did myself, but I wasn't quite sure. So it's another day, and I've gone back with a set square, and I've found this out. These are old brackets. I don't know whether you can tell, but these are reasonably straight. Yeah, they're pretty straight. Okay. These nice new shiny galvanised parts, on the other hand, aren't. See that? And they're causing this to rotate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these off here, take them in the shed, put them in the vise, give them a little bit of a bend and straighten them up again. Okay, all 4 of these are now bent straight, so we'll try this again. Air ambulance, somebody's having a bad day. Right, so this is clamped in place. We've got 2 little paint marks down here, which is the old inside of the bracket, and the front face here to the bulkhead mounting should be 980 millimeters, and that is exactly what that is, which means that my rock sliders will refit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill through all of those positions. Before we fit these, we'll measure them. They measure 8.8, so we're going to drill that at 9, and the larger ones for the M8s, they measure 10.9, so we're going to drill them at 11 millimeters. say hello to the camera. Can you say hello to the camera? Say hello to the camera. Boy. Boy. Okay, so the next part of this project is to make these fit through there. Now a lot of people are, oh, why are you doing that? Well, I don't want a gap at the back here. I want this to sit flush to the chassis. So I'm going to create some clearance holes here for the heads to sit in, and I'm going to put big washers over the top. That's the first one drilled, and that's the second one drilled. And there we have it. Bolt-on rear outriggers. And if I ever need to change them again, it's going to take me about 20 minutes. And that's the left hand side. And they're finished. Bolt-on rear outriggers. Now for some of you lads out there who like to do a bit of green laning, maybe this is an idea for you to try, because I'm sure you're battered these every now and again. If you can bolt them on and unbolt them, it's going to save you a lot of time. I reckon that if I pre-drilled all the holes in one of these, I could fit one of these in about 15 minutes. So that's it for this episode. In the next episode, I've got to repair the footwell of Larry, because he's got a bit of a hole in it. So that'll be my next project. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you again really soon. Bye bye for now.